It's hot today, isn't it? How long does it take for a corpse to begin rotting, I wonder? The idea was instantly abandoned. Yeah, but then it draws in wild animals and you kill them for food.
Yeah, right.
Finally, everyone gathered there for... I'm prepared for a situation. If me and you ever crash a bus on a cliff...
And we have a corpse lying around.
Right, yeah, we got to bring a person just so they die.
Yeah, okay.
Because it's like 1 in 3 people will die in a horrible bus accident, so we just have to throw the dice and hope it's not us.
Right.
And then we eat that person. So speaking of which, we need an editor.
Yeah.
Hello, welcome back to Bookend Gaming.
Ohio.
It's another Tuesday.
I feel it's Otaku Tuesday. I feel like we should say Ohio.
I'm gonna go.
Okay.
I don't think we should. I think that's the end of the channel. Just that sentence right there just ended it for me. The final that lip quiver. No, I'm ready. I am ready to go. I've got my Nickelodeon socks on.
Yes.
I'm good to go. Got Rocco on my left foot and Reptar on my right.
And a little bit of Monica by my side.
Yeah.
No, that's later. Spoilers, we're going to play DDLC.
Yeah. We've already played it, but we're going to play it again.
Yeah. We're like in a ravine and bad things are happening.
Yeah, it's just all like a giant flashback. So, or it's us reading Amane's journal.
Right,
And
yeah.
she wrote down everything everyone said at all times.
Yes, she remembered this pretty precisely for such a traumatic event.
I mean, that's usually how it goes.
I guess.
It's kind of hard. PTSD kind of works that way. Okay. All right, let me get back into Amane voice here. Yeah, let me get out of breath. Our basketball team's advisor, Mr. Ochi Yoshihiko,
Yoshi.
regained consciousness 30 minutes later.
Uh-huh. Oh, I guess I should press buttons.
After hearing a brief summary of the situation that I regaled to him word for word from Captain Shakashida, Mr. Ochi called for all the surviving students and had us sit on the ground together. Kumbaya!
Captain.
Oh God.
In the first place, what was the cause of the accident?
Just as if we were still in the classroom, Captain Sakashida raised her right hand as she spoke. At her nearly accusatory tone, our young teacher, and the driver of the bus, wrinkled his face into something very close to a scowl.
That girl sitting on the ground over here.
Oh my God.
What's wrong with her? Oh no. I mean, oh. Am I him?
I guess.
Oh. Don't know. I braked hard as soon as the wheel went out of control, but the thing just went right over the cliff. Probably a blowout.
Then what caused the blowout?
How the hell would I know? I just woke up 2 minutes ago.
Please don't shout.
I'm sorry.
Everyone's terrified. We need to stay calm or...
I know that!
Jesus. A worthless argument among these lines continued for a good 10 minutes. She's so tall. The situation being what it was, nobody tried to butt in or calm things down.
Good thing they all lined up in order of height.
Yeah. Well, the one's sitting down. We all sat there and waited for things to run their course. Watching our teacher and captain bellowing at each other meaninglessly, a few girls began to cry from sheer anxiety. The captain seized on the fact as a new line of attack. In that place filled with gloom and dominated by angry voices, Amane Kazuki smiled brightly, drew her face close, and began to whisper in my ear.
Hey, little girl, if it was being you're really tall.
Good Lord, I can't reach your ear.
Even at a time like this, all she can think of is getting someone else to take responsibility. Surely assigning blame and identifying the cause can wait. Aren't there many more important things we should be discussing?
True enough, but I couldn't understand what she expected to accomplish by murmuring this to me. It wasn't like I had the ability to redirect the discussion.
Where'd she get the step stool from?
Complaining wasn't going to get us anywhere. If anything, there was a good chance this might make the situation even worse.
You two, what are you whispering about?
Where'd you get that stepladder?
See, I told you so. When you get spotted griping in the shadows, of course you're going to get told off.
I mean, they were like off on their own for a while.
Yeah. Well... As I hesitated, searching for some kind of excuse, Kazuki abruptly raised her right hand and asked for permission to speak.
In regard to the cause of the blowout, I think it's likely that a sharp metal object of some sort fell from the bed of the truck carrying scrap, then lodged in the front wheel of our bus.
Do you have evidence of that?
Yes, the giant piece of scrap sticking out of the front of the bus.
With the words printed, belonging to truck.
This is the reason you crashed. Please take a look at the tire in question.
As directed by Kazuki's words, everyone present turned to look at the tires of the overturned bus.
Psych, I'm out of here.
The front wheel on the right side was neatly torn around its circumference, cracked into 2 vertical halves.
So, we drove over something, a sharp metal board, or something of the sort. Perhaps it was dragged by the tire, and caught in the frame of the vehicle, so that every time the tire rotated it was successively damaged, finally culminating in a sudden burst.
How would you not hear that the second you hit it?
Yeah, I don't know.
Watching Kazuki explain her theory with words and gestures, the majority of us felt the pieces falling into place. It made sense.
One large piece into the bus. Modern car tires are made so they won't rapidly lose air pressure from running over a nail, but if a piece of metal slowly tears it apart, this is the inevitable result. Furthermore, and hitherto, henceforth, forsooth, having unfortunately run over that object, we didn't crash through any fault of Mr. Ochi's. If we'd been on a straight road when the tire blew out, he would have brought us safely to a halt. If you want to assign blame, the fact that the tire happened to blow out as we were rounding a curve, in other words, sheer bad luck, is most responsible for the accident.
I want to know the story of the blue hair and the, reddish-haired girl back there. They look like good friends.
They look like good friends.
They're telling secrets. Why is no one yelling at them?
Having met with this terrible luck, at the very least, those of us gathered here are still alive. Perhaps we should place our emphasis on how to preserve that silver lining of good fortune.
By eating each other.
What can we possibly do in this situation?
We can at least attempt to ward off despair, can't we? In other words, I think a positive dialogue in search of hope would be lovely right about now. Does anyone have a poem? A limerick, maybe?
I was about to say, does anyone have a Mad Libs book?
That's...
I think that's still her.
Rather than grieving over your poverty, fantasize about what you'll buy if you win the lottery. You'll sleep better at night. It might be like her
Oh,
quoting
yeah, that
her.
is her. Okay. That was Kazuki's argument in a nutshell. Although if she'd said it outright, it was obvious she would have angered the captain. And so, in the end, at Kazuki's request, I took my notebook in one hand and repeated the details of our situation to the group. Shit sucks.
One thing, I don't know why. It doesn't even matter how hard we try.
Keep that in mind. I've designed this rhyme. We were surrounded by a dense sea of trees without so much as an animal trail running through it. The cliffs hung over us, like an overturned mortar bowl or like a bus, making a climb back to the road impossible. And our cell phones couldn't find a signal. To escape alive, our only option was to walk away from the road and into the forest. But probably because of a meteorite that fell nearby, there seemed to be dense deposits of metal scattered throughout the area.
I mean, we just speculated that.
Right. And thanks to these pockets of concentrated magnetic material, our compasses would be of no use. So strap metal to your hands and climb up the walls.
Yes.
It seemed plausible that the strange hole with its overhanging walls had been gouged into the earth by the impact of that meteorite. The bare rock of the walls had turned to glass under the assault of momentary high temperature. Even reading out this dry, factual summary of our situation from the notebook was enough to drain my spirits. Where exactly were we supposed to find hope in any of this?
If it's that bad, rather than messing around and consuming our physical strength, we'd better off calmly waiting for a rescue.
Yes, I think that's best as well. Although I wanted to escape this disturbing place as quickly as possible, there was no guarantee that any of us would return alive if we wandered off aimlessly now.
Make a ladder.
There's like a Four Seasons hotel like right on the other side of the tree line.
Yeah. All right. A bed and breakfast.
Continuing the investigation of our surroundings until a more certain path presented itself, while waiting for the arrival of a rescue, seemed the wiser choice by far.
They just crash and find like the Great Valley. It's just like a paradise down here.
It's the lost city of Atlantis.
Yeah.
I felt a wave of relief wash through my body at the captain's decision.
Oh, I don't know about that.
It's not my idea, so it's got to be wrong. I looked behind me with a start. Kazumi Kazuki, the very person who'd shoved me onto this little stage, had spoken those words.
You broke my arm, bitch. Shut up.
Kazuki, the very person who had told me to explain things clearly and logically so no one acts rashly, had disrupted the discussion just as we were beginning to reach a consensus. I couldn't begin to understand why. Must be a bitch. I glanced at her face with an irrepressible frown.
And what is that supposed to mean? Do you have a counter-argument?
I do. It's certainly true that we have no guarantee we will return alive if we wander off aimlessly. However, we also have no guarantee that we will be rescued if we simply wait.
I'm aware of that, thank you. I don't intend to wait here for the rest of my life. But don't you think marching off into the jungle without adequate investigation is suicide?
By what standard would you determine when your investigation is adequate? We don't have ample drinking water, let alone food. I don't think we have much time to sit around and plan things over. In my humble opinion, we might as well get moving while our physical and mental state is still favorable.
Heh, with an opinion like that, you really should be humble. The mountains are a great deal harsher than amateurs like us tend to think, but if you dislike my decision, please feel free to head into the forest by yourself.
I said too much. Allow me to apologize.
Fine, as long as you've got the message.
If it was unexpected to hear Kazuki raise an objection in the first place, it was just as surprising to see her withdraw her opinion so easily. I know her so well now after these hours we've been together.
Yeah.
Still, holding my silence, I asked Kazuki a question with my gaze.
My teammates that I don't know at all for some reason.
Yeah. What was that all about?
We're new. They're new. They were on the way to their first game.
Yeah. In response to my glance, Kazuki returned her own wordless answer with a movement of her eyes and a jerk of her chin. Don't worry about it. Keep going.
Oh, my.
Then our next priority should probably be establishing a base camp. How about we begin by working on retrieving anything that might be useful from the overturned bus?
You're not the captain either.
Yes. That seems about right. Let's divide the work and begin at once. Is that acceptable, Mr. Ochi?
I don't remember his... Yeah. Let's get started.
I don't care.
Let's get it started in hot.
Can't a guy jerk off in peace over here?
After that, we were divided between a group collecting things from the bus and a group responsible for sorting those items and preparing to erect our tents.
Erect.
We set about our work in silence. I was assigned to the collection team because of my sturdy physique, because I'm a huge bitch, which meant I was stuck with the job of crawling into the overturned bus and dragging out whatever luggage I could find.
Because I'm a 9-foot power forward.
The work itself wasn't that difficult in the physical sense, but inside the bus, the bodies of the two girls who had died instantly were still left untouched.
Oh, dear.
And every time I passed by, I couldn't help but see resentment in their faces.
I mean...
I'm so resentful towards my
they're,
death.
They're kind of dead.
Yeah.
Chewing my lower lip, I forced out the willpower to go on. Although I wasn't conscious of it, the strain on my nerves built with every trip. Finally, the dim interior of the bus was all but emptied of luggage, with the exception of the personal belongings of the dead. Probably because I'd passed the corpses so many times now, I had grown somewhat used to their expressions of bitter regret. Or maybe it would be more accurate to say that my emotions had been paralyzed.
Oh, no.
And so...
Is that from crashing?
I joined my hands before the body of Shikanai Tsukasa, my senior by 2 years, and whispering, "I'm sorry," pulled her luggage free.
She grabs my arm. It's okay. How goes it?
Was that shriek really necessary? Now my ears hurt.
Kazumi-san, you startled me. Don't just start talking to me all of a sudden.
Is there a way to begin talking to someone that isn't sudden?
How's it going?
What is it?
That's what I was going to do the next
something?
time she talked.
I had nothing better to do, so I came to help strip the bodies of their belongings.
Do you have to put it like that?
Yeah, this girl's outfit's cute. It's not as if they can wear it. They can hear us.
As she spoke, Kazuki gently closed Shikanai. I'm glad she's dead because I don't like to pronounce her. Shikanai Senpai's eyelids.
The other body?
Over there. Azawa Senpai, a second year.
Azawa. The one who'd been struggling to control her figure.
I bet she's got lots of snacks.
Why don't you just come out and say she was fat?
All right, fine, she was fat. If I said it like that, I'd hurt her feelings. Dead people have feelings too.
It's not like she can hear us.
Oh, look who's being pedantic or not pedantic, pessimistic now.
Pedantic.
Oh my, I do believe you're going to hell for that one.
This coming from you, of all people? Let's just flirt next to these dead bodies. Jeez.
Me? I'm in church every Sunday morning, bitch.
Huh? Really? Oh, I get it. Should I laugh now?
Too late. Leave Fatty to me. You go ahead and take that luggage outside.
Fatty, she says. Kazuki was a truly elusive person. At times she reversed herself with dizzying speed. Had she seen that I was depressed and turned to this black humor to make me smile? Oh, that reminds me. Why did you suddenly disagree with the captain just now? That wasn't what we'd planned.
She's stupid. Did you see the captain's face back then?
What about it?
She looked perfectly content as long as you were merely explaining our situation, but as soon as you began to direct the discussion, her expression became extremely sullen. Therefore, before she could develop some ridiculous need to resist our argument, I decided to provide my own opposition. I knew that when I interjected, she would inevitably snap back at me. If I then allowed her to win the argument, her mood would improve for the moment.
So that was all just...
If I hadn't butted in at that point, I believe that down the line, say 3 days after our food supplies grow uncertain, she would have thrown in the towel and proposed an attempted escape. But if she were to reverse her opinion now that she's pushed it over mine, it would become an admission that I was correct all along.
The captain's obstinacy towards Kazuki had become a powerful reason for her to keep us where we were. You were thinking that far ahead?
When you consider things from a long-term perspective, losing can sometimes be a profitable choice. Although it may seem difficult to think even a moment ahead in a situation like this, try to act while imagining yourself 10 days from now.
Sometimes I feel like I'm suffocating when you're around.
That's the spirit.
I love you.
Is that so? But then again, life is short, and you only get one try.
YOLO.
It can't hurt to try getting to know a genius, can it?
Or I guess Yogot.
Yogot!
Genius. Is it, you actually call yourself a genius?
Not that I like to hear it from others, as I'm sure you would dislike being called an idiot, but nonetheless disparage yourself as just an idiot in order to put people off their guard.
But I really am an idiot.
No, you're not an idiot. True idiots are those who make enemies of geniuses.
You better keep that in mind. We're friends, if I remember correctly.
But of course. I mean in like 5 days. I'm thinking 10 days ahead.
Right.
I must say, I like how quick you are on the uptake.
Very kind of you. What the heck? Geez, seriously? I must be something like a toy to her. I did feel discomfort at the effortless control she had over me, but I'm sure Kazuki knew as well as I did that I wouldn't oppose her in the end. That realization was irritating in its own right, but truthfully, by this point, I got myself so aggravated that I felt like smiling instead. So how many years from now do they develop the Herm thing? Because we haven't had a Herm in this flashback yet.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's you. What's his name? Cosme.
They all do it, though.
Yeah, that's true.
Having a loud...
Yuji, that's his name.
We've forgotten about him
Yeah.
completely. Loud sigh of surrender. I turned my attention back to stripping the dead girl of her possessions.
The end. Oh.
It took an hour to retrieve all the camping gear and personal belongings from the overturned bus.
It also took us a while to get back into the exact position we were in before.
But now we had to face a difficult question. What do we do about the 2 bodies still in the bus? That was the problem. Somebody raised the idea of having everybody carry them out together, but considering the cramped interior of the bus, it would be impossible for all of us to participate. Someone else suggested that we should leave them be rather than clumsily dragging them around, but... At Kazuki's words, it's hot today, isn't it? How long does it take for a corpse to begin rotting, I wonder? The idea was instantly abandoned. Yeah, but then it draws in wild animals and you kill them for food.
Yeah, right.
Finally, everyone gathered their food. I'm prepared for a situation. If me and you ever crash a bus on a
Right.
cliff,
And we have a corpse lying around.
right? Yeah, we got to bring a person just so they die.
Yeah, okay.
Because it's like 1 in 3 people will die in a horrible bus accident. So we just have to throw the dice and hope it's not us.
Right.
And then we eat that person. I lost my place now.
Yeah.
Our pleading glances settled
We're
on
planning
the man.
for something.
Mr. Ochi. So speaking of which, we need an editor.
Yeah.
And after a few minutes, when he placed his hands on his knees and stood with the words, "I'll do it," every one of us breathed a sigh of pure relief. Having entered the overturned bus alone, Mr. Ochi emerged with Shikanai's body cradled in his arms.
I've always wanted to do this.
Ugh, I gotta touch the
That's
fat one now.
terrible.
Right? The only ones who witnessed
Oh,
that
God.
moment were Kazuki, Captain Shakashida, and me.
Sakashida!
The others cast their eyes to the ground or turned away, avoiding the sight of their acquaintance's corpse. Probably because that sight was the distillation of a pitiless reality. To see what that moment would have meant facing the truth they wanted so desperately to forget. To be honest, when I was collecting luggage from the bus, I had placed a hand on Shikanai's body with the thought of carrying it outside. Startled to learn exactly how cold a human body could become when its blood stopped flowing, I withdrew my hand instantly. I hadn't felt this kind of shock when I touched my grandmother's body in the casket at her funeral. Grandma's death, which I'd known would come eventually, wasn't nearly that cold to the touch. Touching this girl's death, a death I couldn't view with composure or resignation, turned my spine to ice. I did never want to feel that way, ever again.
Remember when we joked on this channel?
Right? What brought this up? She just gave him the book about it. I guess
Oh,
she
yeah.
was like, here's my past.
Yeah, what did bring it up?
I don't know now. I can't remember. Watching the removal of the bodies in solemn silence, I reflexively brought my hands together and began to pray for the dead. From behind my back, I could hear whispering voices. Dear Patty, what do we do with it now?
Tell us somebody else.
Can we just do that when we're rescued while her family be met?
Yeah, that's assume we're right away.
We can't just leave it like this!
It's summer after all.
It's highly illogical.
Apparently, sensing our anxiety, Mr. Ochi decided to bury the 3 bodies some ways away. At the very least, it wouldn't do to leave them where we could see them.
There were 3 bodies?
I guess.
Practically speaking, if we'd watched these corpses rot before our eyes, we would have put our mental health at risk. In a situation like this one, panic is the greatest enemy. And wolves. For the same reason, we decided it would be best if none of us acted alone.
And the beasts in the forest.
Right. We paired off into units of 2. To put things nicely, the idea was to establish a dynamic of mutual support.
Yeah, buddy system.
Accountabilibuddies! But when we got to the heart of the matter, we were supposed to watch each other like hawks for signs of abnormal behavior. If one member of the pair caused a problem, both would be held responsible and killed on sight.
Yeah.
Well, I'd been 80% sure it would turn out this way from the moment I'd heard about the rule. Kazuki is...
Kazuki?
Kazuki. It's hard. Okay, shut up. Named me her partner. The look on her face saying it was the most natural thing in the world.
Oh dear. Well, that's that. My best regards once again.
As she spoke, Kazuki moved to show me her left arm, now wrapped in a sling. Her meaning was clear enough. My arm was disabled thanks to you, so it's only natural that you pick up the slack for me, right? I didn't have any objection to acting as a unit with Kazuki.
She's faking it.
Judging from her words and actions so far, she was intelligent.
And she would have been impotent
she's more intelligent than me,
and
apparently.
knowledgeable. Shim know things.
She's like a smart brain. If I swallowed her,
Jeez.
Okay, let me recalibrate
we
real
ruined
quick.
It. Yeah.
Her lead. Things shouldn't go wrong.
Her brains does good.
Even so, I couldn't quite repress my feelings. Something like dissatisfaction, or maybe confusion. Above all, I was tired of dancing so obediently in her strings.
Oop.
If you have a reason for choosing me, other than a desire to bully me, could you tell me what it is?
I choose you so I could bully you. If you have complaints, I'll listen. Not that I'll respond to them in any way.
What's the point of complaining then?
It'll help with your stress. If you want to live a long life, you shouldn't bury your resentment away. All the more so in a situation like this.
Oh, that a fact.
That's a fact. Truth fact. Any other questions?
Is teasing me really that much fun?
How odd. Why are you asking a question when you don't want to hear the answer? Are you the type who needs it put into words to get a thrill? Pervert. It's a little hard to say, so I'll put it gently. You're a born masochist.
Yeah, call me garbage.
Yeah.
I really shouldn't have asked.
Ugh, it's so weird that it does that.
Every time, someone moves.
Don't worry. I happen to be a born sadist. I'm positive we'll get along.
With those words, Kazuki held out her uninjured right arm towards me.
She does the left one first to rub in the fact that, oh, here you go. By the way, I'm left-handed. I used to be.
Unable to immediately understand the meaning of her gesture, I stared blankly back into her face.
You have to put out your hand, too. I can't shake hands by myself.
Because you broke my arm. Oh, I see. A handshake. I'm amazed you'd think of something so commonplace, Kazumi-san.
I can't burn you with a cigarette anymore. I'm left-handed. You can call me Kazuki-san. Mind if I call you Amane-chan in return?
Huh? Okay.
Well then, best regards yet again, Amane-chan. Chan.
Yes, my best regards to you as well, Kazuki-chan.
I said san.
I gripped Kazuki's outstretched hand with as much force as I could muster. Ah, my other hand!
This is a cool forest.
Right? Look at them god rays. Someone's got their graphic settings turned up. Her hand was so small, it felt like I could quite literally crush it if I squeezed hard enough.
I probably shouldn't, though.
And yet, even then, when all I could see ahead of us was uncertainty and danger,
In the sky.
I had the feeling that small hand would save me.
Oh? But then...
Tuna Fish Man!
Hey, guys! I don't remember his voice at all.
Nope.
We'll now distribute food in tents.
I ruined you. I ruined her voice by talking like Scooby-Doo.
Striding her way to an unsteady foothold above us, the captain shouted in a voice that resounded off the walls of rock. At her feet, the food and camping equipment we had dragged out of the bus were piled in a heap.
Well, at least they do have some food.
Right?
2 people per tent, 1 sleeping bag per person. We're distributing 3 days worth of food for the moment.
Damn, they got a lot of food.
Right?
It can't be called an adequate amount, but everyone try to ration yourselves. Make it last the entire 3 days.
Good thing Fatty's dead. Otherwise, it would have only been 2 days.
In the dark cloud of bad luck, that was our bus accident. Our meager silver lining of good fortune was that we had been returning from a camping trip. Among the luggage we'd collected from the bus,
right, okay.
there was a variety of camping equipment, as well as leftover ingredients from the meal we'd made the day before. There were 4 tents designed for 3 occupants, and 1 large tent made for 6. Kazuki and I took one of the smaller tents, 2 sleeping bags, and a mat for both of us. Our rations for the 3-day period were distributed to us in a garbage bag.
It's currently 5:14 p.m. Please finish constructing your tents by 6 and eat your dinner by 6:30. After that is free time, but don't take any arbitrary actions and inconvenience those around you. Understood?
As she spoke, the captain glanced briefly around the group, then brought her gaze to a halt on Kazuki, who was standing at my side. The last "understood" was probably directed at her in particular.
It did not take them long to get like an itinerary.
Right?
6:30.
Yeah, 6:30. Be done eating. Because why? What else do we got to do?
Yeah.
Did she not notice Captain Sakashita's hostile attitude? Did she not notice and play dumb on purpose? Whatever the case.
Okay.
Kazuki answered in a high-pitched, girly tone
I nailed
that
it.
seemed to originate from her nose.
Huh.
Goodness, what's she so grumpy about?
Kazami-san, what was that voice with just now? Gross.
Geez, are you piling on me too? I don't particularly care what a girl I hate thinks of me, but even if you talk like that, my feelings will get hurt like anyone else's.
Huh? I'm sorry.
I love you. What? Well then, as punishment, would you set up our tent? I would do it, but I don't have 2 arms.
Can't use my feet.
Yeah, I was going to do that anyway.
Damn right you were. In exchange, I'll get dinner ready, although I've never done anything of the sort before with 1 arm.
Huh?
With 1 arm. Our ingredients are carrots, potatoes, and onions. This has to be leftovers from the curry yesterday, right? There's some powder too, but not very much. What to do? What to do? Make a stew.
Hold on a second. Those ingredients are precious. Can you really handle this?
Well, cooking is basically just boiling, baking, and mashing them in a stew, right?
What's taters?
I'm sure it won't be a problem.
No, that's really okay. I'll do it. Leave that to me.
But you're putting up the tent.
It's fine. My home's a restaurant. You live in a restaurant? So cooking is one thing I actually have some
I
confidence
think we
in.
determined that, didn't we?
Maybe they live like above it or something.
Really? But I feel a little bad having you do all the work.
Do you, though? Okay, once I get the tent up, shall we cook together? Can you help me out with that?
So this is why she mothers you. She's used to mothering your family.
Yeah. Oh, that sounds nice. Kind of feels like a close friend thing.
Right?
By the way, can you cook without using salt? Is that blasphemous?
Yeah, you just don't add salt. Wait, what does that mean?
It means exactly what it sounds like.
But there's some salt in here, look.
I'm saying that I want to avoid using that as much as possible. Can you do it?
Well, I guess it's possible, but if there's no salt, it won't taste much good, you know?
It won't taste much good.
She's talking like me.
Let's just put up with that, okay?
If you say so.
But salt.
I need that salt to pour more salt in the wounds of you breaking my arm. After erecting our tent, I gave
Erect.
saltless cooking a try, as Kazuki requested.
Ugh.
Cooking the onions in a fry pan, I mixed them with smashed steamed potatoes and flavored the mix with pepper, then molded it into an oval and baked it in butter, pretty much making it up as I went along.
Did they have like 6 sets of cooking utensils?
Yeah, I don't
understand. Like, why wouldn't you just like each have one potato?
Right. Especially if you had like ingredients like that, you would definitely make like a stew or something that could make
Something
a
that
crap
could
ton.
last. Yeah.
A potato
I don't know.
burger?
I would just take like 2 bites of a potato and be like, all right, I'm done for the day. Gotta make that last.
What would you call this thing? A potato burger?
New from Hardee's.
A croquette with meat or sauce? Anyway, kind of an unorthodox result. Although I was frankly a little wary myself, it was pretty good when I actually ate it, and Kazuki also happily praised the taste.
Praise the taste.
By some mysterious
That's
psychological
Hardee's.
process,
This whole thing is a Hardee's commercial.
I found that Kazuki's praise motivated me to try hard next time as well.
Seems like a good time to mention our sponsor, Hardee's.
Eat fresh.
Their new third-pound
Wait.
Angus Fresh Burger. Fresh Burger.
It is Eat Fresh.
Fresh Burger.
Ridiculous as it may sound, I'm fairly sure I was beginning to genuinely like the girl named Kazumi Kazuki.
Yeah. Can you feel the love tonight? She's dead.
Just singing to herself in the tent, she pokes her.
Yeah.
When the sun set, the sultry heat and humidity of the day vanished quickly, giving way to a chilly night. We have to get naked and bundle up for warmth.
Yes.
Nonetheless, I hadn't entered my tent yet. My agitation from this overwhelming barrage of events hadn't yet cooled, so I wasn't exactly sleepy. And I think I may have still been slightly resistant to the idea of entering that tent alone with Kazumi Kazuki.
Yeah,
Kazuki.
You're gonna die.
When I looked up, there was a slight sliver of moonlight working its way to us through a gap in the treetops.
Pretty big gap.
Amidst the darkness at the bottom of the ravine, I could just make out the domed shape of our tents here and there. The only one in which a light was burning was the largest tent.
They're plotting something.
That 6-person tent was occupied by our advisor, Mr. Ochi, along with the wounded Haruka-san and Sakurai-san.
Don't remember who those are, but all right.
The injured people, I guess. Why would you put injured, incapacitated little girls with the only man?
The dim light of a lantern projected the movements
Right.
of the inhabitants as shadows on the wall,
You think he'd get his own tent?
and an agonized moaning leaked from inside. It was a voice like that of a damned soul crawling through hell.
Have you ever seen Austin Powers?
Yeah.
I think it's the second one. They're in a tent and like their silhouettes are making like
Yeah.
sex jokes.
Right. Yeah.
They're like,
Like
she's like pulling shit out of his
Sausage.
ass.
Yeah.
Probably Haruka-san and her fractured legs. When Kazuki went to check on her after dinner, Haruka-san had been bathed in greasy sweat.
Aruka.
Delicious. Haruka salt.
The entire time we were there, she kept up a slow groaning cry, never managing coherent speech. The fractures had given rise to an agonizing fever. She had no method of coping with her suffering except to scream and moan. Knowing that we had to get her to a hospital as soon as possible, I also knew that we had been placed in circumstances where we could do nothing but wait for help. Frustrated impatience boiled up inside me. The food distributed to us by the captain's orders was to last 3 days, which meant that, at the very least, she intended to have us spend 3 days here.
But I was hungry.
But what was to come after that?
I wanted a fresh burger from Hardee's.
I made all kinds of potato burgers, and no one had any. What happened if 3 days passed and no one arrived to save us? As worsening tremors of anxiety crawled their way up my spine, I shivered for reasons unrelated to the temperature of my body. I just thought of something really cringy from my past. Our bus had fallen. Some of us had already died. But even so, something in the core of my mind seemed to be anesthetized.
Yes.
What is that word? Anesthetized against that truth.
Sure.
Yes. None of it felt fully real. Anesthetized.
Anesthetized.
It's anesthetized.
Oh, all right, sure.
The sense of numbness was what frightened me the most.
It's the worst Disturbed song I've ever heard.
Get ready to anesthetize.
That sense of numbness was what frightened me the most. What should we do? How do we survive this? No matter how frantically I tried to find answers, my mind was paralyzed, dominated by a single thought. We can't do anything. What will be.
Que sera.
As if rejecting the... God, this is like the worst character to have these long monologues with.
Right? Good thing we chose Amane.
Yeah. As if rejecting the hopeless situation had found itself in. My brain was simply refusing to think.
What's that like?
Shit. That refusal of reality may have been a common phenomenon.
Phenomenon, you might say.
Among us that night. From some other tent in the area, I heard the incongruous sound of brightly laughing voices. That laughter grated badly on my nerves.
How could they laugh right now?
I couldn't help but turn my head towards the sound of irritation. They've got one of those.
They did bring Mad Libs.
No, they've got one of those thingies that they
fortune
can't
teller
see what I'm
paper
doing.
origami thing.
Yeah, like the thing that no guy knows how to fold ever.
Yeah.
Only girls are born knowing how to make those. Perhaps Kazuki sitting next to me felt the same way. As she likewise turned her gaze towards the laughter, there was a scowl on her face.
Hey, Kazami-san.
How'd we get outside of our tent? Kazuki is fine. I think I told you that already, didn't I?
Kazuki.
I don't like to say that, though, because I want to say Kazuki.
Yeah.
Yes, Amane.
What are you thinking about right now?
Nothing in particular. I was just reading a book.
A book? What's that?
There was nothing in Kazuki. Oh, well, I don't know.
There was nothing in Kazuki's hands.
You've been the narrator for...
I know. Even if there had somehow been a book there, it would have been impossible to read in the darkness.
You see, I need 2 hands to hold a book. Did I not mention this to you yet? If I see the contents of a book, I can store them in my memory as an image. It's a simple matter of consciously interpreting the characters later on. I can read whenever I please.
Isn't that what's her face does too? Little girl.
Yeah, Machina.
Yeah.
I always forget everyone's name in this game.
She memorizes a book, but yeah, he said that. He said his sister does that.
Oh yeah,
I
that's
do remember
true. He
that.
did say that.
Huh? Sorry, I don't get it. What are you saying?
Well, imagine it is a camera taking pictures of the pages of an open book. Later, you can read the contents from those photographs. That's simple enough, yes? I have 144 unread books in my head at present. I was just working on one now.
She's a robot.
What the heck was I supposed to say to that? Could the geniuses of the world all do things like this? No, that was the wrong way to look at it. It's probably precisely when you can do something so utterly removed from the capabilities of other people that you deserve to be called a genius. I was confident there was simply no way I could ever pull off something like that, no matter how well she explained it to me. What kind of book are you reading?
A picture book.
It's called Bible Black.
A fiction novel in which 15 students of mixed gender are trapped in a school that's been destroyed by an earthquake. She's reading Lord of the Flies.
Oh God.
The setting of student survivors in a closed space was similar to our current situation, so I started reading in hope it might be of reference. But unfortunately, no good. I didn't gain any particularly useful information.
There was no magical unicorn-riding man to come save us.
Damn it.
On the point of asking about the ending of that novel, I abruptly clamped my mouth shut. I didn't want spoilers. Even without asking, I had a rough idea.
I was going to wait for the movie.
Most likely, the students in that story were wiped out. That was probably the exact reason Kazuki had vaguely described it as not particularly useful. Kazuki turned her face to me with a sleepy expression, admittedly her default state, stifled a small yawn, and mumbled,
It'll be 10 soon, without a glance at any clock or watch.
Wink. We don't have anything to do. Shall we sleep?
Oh, we got something to do.
Yeah. It was certainly true that staying up any later wasn't going to accomplish anything.
I'm thinking 10 days ahead when we're all inevitably horny.
And just being awake, there's only one penis. Just being awake with nothing to do would invite unproductive, depressing thoughts. I understood that, but I simply wasn't sleepy.
Who's going after Mr. Ochi?
Ugh, the captain, obviously.
Indifferent to my minor dilemma, Kazuki stood up immediately and opened the zipper dividing the entrance to our tent.
Oh, they are outside their tent.
Hey, Kazuki.
Yeah.
Aren't you scared?
Ah, that's a good question. I'd actually been holding on to an answer to this one for a while now. Feel like hearing it?
Yes, I wouldn't have asked.
The bus meeting an accident, forming a pair with you, and you asking me the question. At this moment, all of this was within the scope of my predictions.
Huh?
What do you think? I thought it sounded pretty impressive and genius-like, personally.
I was kind of intending that as a serious question, you know?
Precisely why I answered seriously. Let's sleep. I expect tomorrow will be a busy day in its own right.
You suck. With these words, Kazuki dropped to all fours and began to burrow her way into the tent, like a bear returning to its den. In a blank daze, I watched Kazuki's round butt wriggling under her skirt as she disappeared inside. I found myself... Why would you focus on... I found myself alone.
For the male readers, I watched Kazuki's round butt wriggling under her skirt.
Trying and failing to process the meaning of her words.
What a weird thing for her brother to read years later.
Right?
I watched her round ass.
I pictured it in my mind's eye what it would look like with no skirt. I even drew it. I think that just brought out all the fatigue. Confronted with the reality of Kazumi Kazuki is just weird to say. I want to say Kazami Kazuki or Kazumi Kazuki.
Kazumi. A girl with a dump truck ass.
A girl with a badonk-a-donk-a-donk.
A girl who looked at first as if she wasn't thinking at all. That's quite the wagon she's dragging. A girl who kept her thoughts completely unreadable. I found myself feeling ridiculous in comparison. My butt was super flat. Oh my God, Becky. The way I drowned myself in anxious worrying. The way I worked myself into a panic over things I had no control over. Left alone in that dark and silent place, I strained my ears. Haruka-san's moans, which ate into the heart of the listener.
Was that moans or was that rain?
I thought it was wind. And the voices of laughter, with their grating denial of our danger, both had stopped for now. The occasional rustling of trees in the wind and the voices of insects
Now you do the sound effect.
were the only sounds left to echo against the walls of rock.
We took too long to read.
I guess. All
We're
right.
too busy talking about high
I
school
was gonna
girls'
say-
asses.
Yeah. And as she falls asleep, baby got back.
The second day in the valley. That morning...
Jesus Christ. I was going to say, birds.
There's monkeys?
I was like, there's a goose outside.
I awoke to the eerie sound of distant birds. I had burrowed into my sleeping bag and closed my...
Calm the fuck down.
fully expecting it to lie awake all night, but evidently I must have dozed off at some point. When I forced open my unexpectedly heavy eyelids, I found the interior of our cheap blue tent, illuminated by a slanting ray of morning sun.
I can't imagine anyone got a good night's sleep.
Yeah. Thankfully, the temperature had risen with the dawn.
I'm going to guess that one of them died in the night.
Probably the broken leg girl.
Right.
I must have slept for at least a few hours, but the burden of my fatigue was no lighter. If anything, I felt even more exhausted than I had been the night before. Still wrapped in my sleeping bag, I turned sideways on top of my thin silver mat. Twisting my head towards the other side of the tent, I was surprised to find my roommate missing.
Oh no!
Kazuki? Did I eat you in my sleep? Where could she have wandered off to?
Surely I'd hear the sound of her thunderous ass cheeks clapping together.
Her dummy thick ass cheeks gave her away.
The mat and sleeping bag Kazuki had been using
Oh,
Jesus.
man.
sat on the ground next to me, neatly tied together in a tight roll. From the look of things, it was unlikely she just stepped out to use the bathroom. Kazuki was clearly already awake and taking action.
Probably doing squats.
I crawled outside the tent into a clear sky but dim morning.
I saw you looking at my ass.
The sheer cliffs of our right and left intercepted most of the sun's light. What little reached us filtered down through gaps into the thick vegetation far above.
No doubt the same reason it felt oddly chilly for the summer day. Others had already emerged from their tents into the gloomy dawn. Here and there they sat quietly on the hard stone ground. In addition to the trauma and mental exhaustion of the previous day, we'd slept in an unfamiliar environment. Not the best way to get rested and refreshed. Most of us had barely slept at all.
Okay, there you go.
Judging from the dark circles under their eyes.
Ugh, those are glasses.
Hey, have you seen Kazuki? I called out to a freshman from the neighboring tent, Ibuki Haruna, seated some 3 meters away. Ibuki brushed her long bangs out of her eyes with her fingers and responded listlessly.
Oh, dear. I guess I'll be her.
Please.
I don't know.
Kazuki?
I don't know.
Don't make it hard on yourself.
Yeah.
Kazuki. Oh, you mean Kazumi-san. She headed off toward the forest carrying a shovel. Maybe she's relieving herself?
Oh. She's got to shovel it out because her ass cheeks stop everything from getting out. I turned toward the valley's lone exit, the tangle of vegetation we call the forest, but Kazuki was nowhere in sight. I really wanted to watch her poop because everyone's really invested in scat.
Poop.
I did, however, happen to notice someone acting rather oddly a little way off. Hey, what's she doing over there?
Who knows?
It was Sakuma Minori, a third-year senior.
We're never going to remember all these people.
No, God, no. They need to start dying so we can lose some of these voices. She is a talented athlete, particularly skilled at sinking three-pointers.
You what? Bringing the rock to the hole?
I mean, that's the opposite of bringing it to the hole. We earned the title of scoring queen.
Fine, sending the rock to the hole.
There you go. Delivering some airmail. Oh, I'm losing my voice. At that moment, she was repeatedly hurling a small object straight up into the air.
And boom goes the dynamite.
If you're that curious, why don't you go ask yourself? I really don't want to deal with her crap.
Well, I don't know. How am I supposed to ask myself if I don't know the answer? Ibuki didn't bother to lower her voice. She didn't seem to care whether her frank words might reach the ears of our senior. As the result of last night's discussion, she'd been paired with that very Sakumi senpai and was stuck sharing a tent with her for the duration of our stay here. She just kept throwing things across the tent.
Yeah.
The combination seemed logical enough since Ibuki and Sakuma have been sharing a room as border students. But room assignments in the dorm were arbitrary, arranged for the convenience of the school.
She kept asking me if she could bring the rock to my hole, and I was like, no.
As in most boarding schools, the freshmen tended to moan about running chores for their arrogant older roommates, while seniors complained about being expected to clean up after some clueless brat. Okay, we gotta stop there because I'm getting lightheaded. Like literally, my eyes are blurring. Oh God, that
You've been down in this valley too long.
Yeah, it's getting to me. Oh, I'm dizzy now because of that voice.